Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now we are in the run-up to Christmas, the festive period where gifts are given. And in fact you might be thinking about those significant folks in your life and trying to imagine what you can give them as a gift. Or it might be that you are the most significant person in your life and you're going to keep an eye open for sales and discounts where you can get those wonderful items which will make life a little happier and more enjoyable in the coming year. Now, I'm going to give you today some of the items which I have encountered over the last year which have been outstanding, which have been really good quality and have made a significant improvement into my life. Now I've got to tell you, right, I've reached an age where I'm no longer interested in buying loads of items, right? It is more about buying a small number of items which are of better quality. And that's reflected in the fact that I didn't make many purchases throughout 2025. But what I did buy were far more considered, far more conscious acquisitions, which I have to say have been greatly improving the quality of my life so far. Now I'm going to tell you that none of the things I'm going to tell you about today do I receive any financial benefit from talking about. I'm not sponsored, endorsed or anything, or do I get any sort of kickbacks. These are items I bought with my own money that I really enjoy wearing and I'm sharing with you merely from that purpose. Now, the first things I'm going to talk about are the items which make me being here in a cold December day possible in the first place. I'm going to start with the gloves. I'm a big fan of gloves because I spend a lot of time in the outdoors and it can get rather chilly. Now, I like two types of gloves. Thin unlined gloves, which are very good for dexterity, allowing you to do things, hard wearing, made of leather. The gloves I'm wearing now are military gloves provided by a company called South Coombe Gloves in Somerset, not 25 miles from where I live. They ship around the world, don't worry. They're a family-owned company. I think they've been in business for 5 generations of the same family. Handmade in the UK. Unlined, they're just right for those cool days where you need to use your hands to do something, articulate. £45 a pair. I'll leave a link to the company's website below. They don't know I'm supplying you with these links, so by all means tell them if you want to, but it doesn't make any difference to me. They don't know who I am, but I've been wearing their gloves for maybe 10 years now, in all different colours. This is a black pair. You often see me wearing a brown pair. They're spot on. Great gloves. On the glove front, another pair of gloves, which I finally bought this year, after years of ruminating, and it is a pair of Peccary leather gloves by the British heritage brand Dents. Now Dents are famous, right? They've been making gloves for Hollywood for, donkey's years. They hold a royal warrant for His Majesty King Charles III. These guys have been making gloves since 1777. Get that, 1777. And they still make them in a small Wiltshire factory by hand. Some of them they make overseas, but their heritage collection, all made in the UK. This is a pair UK made of Peccary leather gloves. They call it the Blenheim model, which I purchased, I think it was in the early part of 2025. Peccary leather is harvested from a certain type of wild hog which lives exclusively in South America. And it is particularly loved because of its tactile, hard-wearing leather. I absolutely adore this stuff. It's amazing. And this particular model is lined with cashmere. So it just feels wonderful on the hand, and these feel special every time I wear them. I was in London yesterday, actually, attending a special event in St. Paul's Cathedral. I wore my overcoat and I wore these gloves along with that coat, and it just finishes off an outfit perfectly. They're not cheap, as you can imagine. I paid, I think, £115 for them because I bought them from the factory store. You can pay upwards of £300 if you buy them on the open market. But as ever, always look for deals. The thing with Peccary leather is it genuinely is going to outlast you in this world. So you buy once and you enjoy for the rest of your life. Now, along with My gloves, the other thing which is keeping me warm today, is this amazing black gold, it's called, jacket, which is made by a British company called Sons, who originate from Cheltenham, which is also in the southwest of the UK, where I come from today. And this is a waxed cotton, very much a sort of utility style, rough and tumble, take on the world. I often describe this as my zombie apocalypse jacket, because if the world goes to hell, this is the garment I'm going to reach for, because I know it's going to see me right, regardless of what scenario I face in this world. I just can't get over how robustly made, heavy, thickly lined with flannel material, as well as this outer wax cotton, which is provided by the heritage British wax cotton provider Millerain, which used to provide the wax cotton for Barber jackets when they were at their peak. Now they've gone to something cheaper, but Millerain is absolutely the best wax cotton material in the world. And Sons produced this black gold jacket, which I love. It's very much in the style of the Belstaff, but actually taken to an even higher level of quality. Cost is about £395, but actually you can regularly get them for reduced prices in various discounts and sales and things like that. But I can only tell you that I've been wearing this jacket for nearly a year, and it feels bomb-proof. I mean, they might even bury me in this jacket if all things go well. So, there we go. What do I wear on my feet in these cooler days? Well, actually not the cooler days, but generally this year, because the shoes and boots I'm going to talk about today are ones which have come across my path at different times of the year. Now, in the summer months, I've for many years been a fan of your desert boot style, and I have always had my eye on these boots here. Now, this is the Sanders and Sanders, or just generally we call them Sanders, Sanders high top boot. Now, these are famous because they've been worn by the likes of Steve McQueen, by the likes of Daniel Craig on screen in Bond movies, and they are a very simple, straightforward suede and crepe-soled boot. And these cost about, I think they're £280 on the Sanders website. Sanders, by the way, is a British heritage shoemaker based in Northamptonshire. And just like many of the things I'm talking about today, they're still in family ownership. They got to be in their fifth generation of family ownership. But what the high top boot gives us is a crepe sole, so coagulated latex sole. It's got this distinctive, quite large rand, this sort of margin where the sole meets the upper. The upper is extremely high quality suede. They come in a variety of different colours, but I believe this is called sage green. And I just picked this one because I loved it. They've got a snuff brown, which is also very attractive. It is lined suede, so it's not just suede, it's lined suede, leather interior. I can't get over how comfortable these boots have been, as well as being nauseatingly stylish as well. I mean, I wear these things around, and it is literally like walking on a cloud all day, but they elevate you to a different level of style in those warm months where it's hard to pick shoes which are practical and stylish. And for me, well, I don't think I'll wear anything else ever again in the summer. All my other desert boots, pushed to the back of the wardrobe. The Sanders high tops, king of the pile in the shoe collection. However, when one wants to look a little smarter, we need to go down the route of a dress shoe. I'm a big fan of burgundy or oxblood, something with red, something with style, because I like my shoes to look attractive and tell a story. And that story is told in the colour, the texture, the pattern. And my favourite type of dress shoe has always been a semi-brogue. It's just that little bit more stylish than a full wingtip brogue, a little bit more characterful than a black cap toe Oxford or in any colour cap toe Oxford, because you have the nice broguing across the medallion. Then you've got a line of broguing across the toe cap and around, the various quarters of the shoe and up the side of the lacing system. There's a lot going on with that broguing. I just love broguing. This particular shoe is a Trickers Kensington. And Trickers, of course, heritage, British company, been around for donkey's years. I think it's the oldest shoe manufacturer still in the UK, operating out of the same factory. It's a leather-soled shoe, So very much a dress shoe. And the colour, outstanding. This is a museum burgundy colour. At the moment, it's not currently in the Kensington collection by Trickers, this actual colour, but it's available in a variety of other colours. And I have to tell you, I wore this pair of shoes yesterday, this very pair, up to a fancy do in St. Paul's Cathedral in London. I had lunch in Claridge's with my wife prior to that. I had a lovely suit on, and this felt like the crowning element to my outfit, because this beautiful burgundy museum calf semi-brogue just sang out and said character, charisma and style. And of course made by Trickers, renowned for making, you know, bomb-proof country footwear. I'm pretty sure that these fellas are going to outlive me. The Kensingtons would cost you, I think it's £495, but I picked my examples up from the Trickers online factory store for £295. So I saved £200 on the price. Like everything I talk about today, chase down the best bargains that you can possibly find. Now, when it comes to being a stylishly dressed fellow, which we are definitely on that path towards, one thing which I believe delineates the intentionally well-dressed man in the modern era, and fellows who don't really put much effort in, is the necktie. And I struggle with neckties because I can't stop buying the damn things. It can become a little bit of an addiction. But in 2025, I made a promise to myself at the beginning of the year that I'm only going to buy ties which are of high quality, who bring me joy. And I've actually been successful on that. I've probably bought 10 ties over the last year. I've passed some of my lesser worn ties on to others. So there definitely has been a bit of a churn in my wardrobe. But when I looked at the new ties which I'd purchased, there were a few which stood out as being the ones which I've worn the most, and I've enjoyed wearing the most. Now, the first one is this fellow here. This actually is a tie from the Benson and Clegg Heritage Collection. It's a famous gentleman's outfitters. They used to have a store in London. Now I think they're all online at the moment, Benson and Clegg. They hold a royal warrant for His Majesty the King, and they provide things like blazer buttons, cufflinks, various accoutrements and accessories to make the intentionally well-dressed man look that little bit more intentional. Now, their necktie collection is outstanding. They do a lot of military regimental ties. But for many folks who haven't been in the military, there's a slight concern that if you buy a regimental tie and you make a faux pas, you buy a tie which you shouldn't wear because, you know, you're not entitled to wear it unless you've served in the regiment, there could be embarrassment, even an accusation of stolen valour or stolen honour. So, Benson and Clegg, what they have done, thoughtfully, is look back into the historic archive of regiments and ties, and many regiments which no longer exist. They disappeared maybe 100 years ago, but their ties are still in the archive. And this is one just example. This is the tie of the Ceylon mounted rifles. Now, Ceylon, of course, as a country no longer exists. It's now called Sri Lanka, and this tie dates back to the old British colonial era. So you can be sure that if you purchase this tie and wear it, nobody's going to accuse you of being in the Ceylon mounted rifles. It's a lovely quality British handmade silk tie. I've been wearing this tie quite a lot this year because it's a lovely silk tie. It makes a wonderful knot, and I just think it's a classic beauty. And they do a great panoply of other historic regimental ties to satisfy your desire to look smart and elegant, yet without making a faux pas in the necktie path. Now, another way you can also go, happily wear a tie without embarrassing yourself is to go to another company. The Benson and Clegg ties. They cost about, I think it's about £80. Another brand which I found this year was Diroma. Now, I found Diroma because we were looking to partner up with a gentleman's tie manufacturer for our Nirvana Club tie. And the Nirvana Club is this loose term which we have for people who follow my channel, and our little Nirvana Club, we wanted a tie so that we could all associate with each other and wear the same tie. So I approached a small tie maker called Diroma, based in the north of England, run by a chap called Angelo, who's an Italian gentleman who designs his ties in the UK, and his ties are created in Italy in the traditional way. we set upon this design here, this being the Nirvana club tie. Can be worn by anybody. If you like ties, you just pop along, pick it up and wear it. And you're a member of not only the Nirvana club, but the Stylish Tie Club as well. Now, what I like about Diroma is that he's probably got 100 plus ties, all silk, all made as I've described in the traditional way in a factory in Italy. I think they're all around about the 70 to 80 pounds mark. They're a little bit longer. They're about 5 inches longer than your typical tie. So if you like intricate tie knots, things like that, Diroma are an excellent route to take because you get a little bit more tie to play with. I love the ties that Diroma has to offer. There are some classic, elegant colours. If you want a similar look to a regimental tie, but a purely civilian tie, Diroma is the place to go. I'll leave a link to Angelo's website down below. Pop along there and avail yourself of his amazing collection of ties. So, rounding up now, how can I leave you without talking about fragrances? A couple of fragrances here on the table, which I've picked up this year. One, very stylish, very classic. One, very elderly actually, but a rediscovery for me in 2025. I'll start with that one first. This is Rapport. Now, it's the Eau de Toilette, and Rapport, I can remember this from, I don't know, maybe the 80s and 90s when I was a young chap cutting about town. And this one is very much what I would describe as an all year round sort of fragrance. It's not heavy or particularly unpleasant. It's a little zesty, little citrusy, ideal for the summer months, incredibly inexpensive. I think it's about £20 a bottle, and it's just very clean and crisp. And for that price, that's a no-brainer. The other fragrance which I've bought loads of fragrances this year, I gotta say, but one which was a real find for me was Gravitas Pour Homme by the Norton and Wilson fragrance house, which is of course run by Dan Norton, Mr. Smelly, who's got his own YouTube channel. He's launched a number of fragrances now. Classic, elegant, very strong, very powerful, very masculine in the traditional fougere style. This one, his first ever release, I think it's about 5 or 6 years ago, really hits the mark. I've enjoyed wearing this one enormously. I think it's about £115 for 100 millilitres, so it firmly puts it below the price of brands like Dior, Guerlain, the likes of Chanel, and I think it is the equal of all of those very expensive brands. And if you like something, and I know he's got a number of different fragrances out these days, but Gravitas Pour Homme was ground zero for Norton and Wilson, and I actually think they haven't yet beaten what they started with. I think Gravitas is the class of the field, and when you wear this one, I don't know, it's not like Aramis, but it provides the same nuance for me. That is strength, power, masculinity, and that, when you want that feeling, Gravitas Pour Homme is a good place to go. So there we go. I'm going to leave you with one final thing, a stocking filler now. Let me get rid of these off the table so they don't distract us. I'm going to reach into the pocket of my jacket and I'm going to dig out the penknife which goes with me everywhere. Now this is a penknife from the brand Haney Hines, and this is the Spyderco Squeak, a small, simple little penknife. It has a clip on the back so you can just stick it into your trouser pocket. It can be used with one hand, as I've ably demonstrated. Very simple, small blade, UK legal carry, so it's only about 2 inches long, 2.5 inches long, the blade. It's a non-locking blade, so perfectly legal to carry in the United Kingdom. I have found this to be an incredibly versatile, useful and tough little tool over the last 12 months. Always in my pocket. It's got this quite robust scales. I think it's a G10 scales on it, but operate cutting string, opening boxes, very tough little material it's made of. Let me tell you, it's M398 steel on the blade. Actually, I think it cost under £100 for a knife of this quality with this quality of manufacture. It's been an absolute steal this year for me. I've thoroughly enjoyed that one. Always in the pocket, never let me down so far. So there we go. Those were some of the things I bought this year, or the outstanding things that I wanted to share with you anyway. They've made my life a little easier, a little smarter, a little more comfortable. And I thought, you know, if you're thinking about a gift for somebody in your life, it's worth knowing what's worked for me if you're thinking about passing on, you know, something quite stylish and elegant to somebody else. And as I always say, go and track down those deals, those discounts, get the price as low as possible. Never pay the full price if you can possibly help it. I hope you've enjoyed this best items of 2025 video, which I've put together for you at the end of the year. If you have, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more. Tell me the items that have crossed your path and done the same for you in 2025. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget, if you want to ask me a question about anything, drop it in. If you want to join me as a patron on my journey towards Chap Nirvana, in the description box below this video, you will find a link to my patron pages. Come and join me and benefit from the additional material I make several times each week for all my patrons. Until the next time we meet, enjoy the festive period, and I will see you again very soon.